Okay, so this is my fourth time making a render with Blender. Technically my third serious one with Blender. Starting in Roblox Studio and going to export all of the accessories separately, or all together, separately at least from the body, and then exporting the body textures, then going into Blender. Yes, I actually did figure out how to use OBS for this. You're gonna learn really quickly that I made an oopsie. I must have overwrote whatever original starter rig I was using. I forgot what the starter rig pack I was using, but if you search up like Roblox rigs, you'll probably find it because it's pretty popular to use. The character I am making a render of is Dry Bones 1011. I don't remember the username, but he is a character from One More Night. Also a really chill guy. Every time I've seen him in the One More Night Discord, everyone I've talked to who's been in or worked on One More Night is pretty awesome, honestly. I enjoy talking to them. I am a part of the artist role, which I did not expect to get, but I am very happy with. You can see that I'm just sort of trying to figure out why this whole thing isn't working. I assumed that I was doing another like project earlier and it just kind of messed the rig up, so you're gonna see me in a bit completely just get rid of it, and yep, there it is. It's been reversed. And that's me saving it to Dry's own like folder, because I have a few One More Night renders. I've done one for Wormcave and Jordi, and who's the first? Bad and ZGuesto actually, but I have them separated. I'm making renders for most of, if not all of the casts that have renders. I don't know if I'm able to do the ones based off of the actual Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics. It's hard to explain what I'm doing in any of these because I'm not really... Because I know how to do it, sometimes it's hard to explain, and I guess it's the difference between knowing something and mastering it. I cannot explain it to you. But so far, I'm just setting things up so that I have the skin, I have, you know, the accessories on his avatar, and now I am... What am I doing? Oh, reference image, yeah, so I love using these reference images to help me with stuff, and for this reference image, I'm making Dry's board. So right now, I'm just trying to scale the image so that it lines up almost perfectly with his head, maybe not exactly perfectly to his body, I don't really know. And I got this image from the wiki. The wiki doesn't have very many reference images of Dry, so oftentimes what I do is I reference the wiki, I reference like whatever the avatar the characters have in actual Roblox, the like whoever's based off of a real person, and then I just kind of go based off of that, and I often pull their quotes or stuff from the, you know, but also sometimes it is just based off of how I have seen them in the Discord talk to other people. Now, I cannot recreate this board one-to-one exact, and you can see me struggle a lot with exactly the tools that I need. I have used Blender before to create stuff. I've created like a little model figurine of one of my OCs, but I am not exactly the guy to ask if you want like really good models. I still don't really know how to do that, and honestly not sure if I want to learn how to do that. I know some basic stuff, but basic stuff isn't great all the time. So you can see me trying to figure out how to use the tools, the bevel tool to like... Or, no, it's an inset tool. I'm looking at the toolbar right now. I'm having a crisis. But the whole idea is that I was gonna recreate his board, and then I'd be able to, like, put the screen in edit, in post, you're gonna see really quickly that I do not do that, and instead I just flip it around and pretend like the whole board is not there. You're gonna see me do some real fun things with UV unwrapping and texture editing. It's kind of embarrassing, but I think I was really proud of how the render turned out either way, so I might as well show the 3 hours and 36 minutes, not joking, of me in total struggling with this. By the way, I did have to cut some footage out because I'm gonna explain it later, but in total it was 3 hours and 36 minutes, and if there's some like weird awkward cuts because the speed is at 400%, it is what it is. I am still struggling with this board. I suppose while I am modeling this, I will have to I should just say some stuff about One More Night. One More Night is an excellent game, and I really enjoy playing it. Five Nights at Freddy's is based off of the game in general is just based off of Too Many Nights, which I have not played, but I do know about because Astral Spiff played it, and we all love Astral Spiff. And if you don't, I'm scared of you. So here's me trying to figure out how the fuck. I assume I googled something at some point, but now I'm trying to figure out how to. I just grabbed the color from his jacket or his outfit, the primary blue color, because I figured that it's gonna be that. And at this point, I'm kind of wondering why it's not showing up, but I realized that it's I have the texture, I just haven't put it in the thing. So here's me putting it in the thing. And then I realized I didn't have it, so now I have to go and save it, and then I can put it in the thing. Like it's a little complicated, but you know, I got there. Now me actually doing the UV unwrapping, I thought that if I used the bucket tool or like the fill tool, it would have just fill in the areas where there was the lines, and that was not how it turned out at all. So now I'm doing this sort of painful process where I'm just coloring it in manually. You're gonna see that I like do this in a better way once I get to the UV unwrapping stuff. Like I said, this is really embarrassing. It probably, if anyone else saw me do this, they would probably hate me. So now I figured out the better way. You can see me test it out right there. And so I just start with trying to figure out how to get these like textures in a place that's better. And this is where I realized that the weird way that I chose to do like the geometry is like really messing this whole thing up. This little bar, like black bar on the top one, was really bothering me like so bad, so I just decided to do it all over again. I believe this is where the part where I go through like a few UV unwrap settings to just figure out if any of them will do anything different, and they don't really. So I just kind of go back to the grind, embarrassingly. I do know that I eventually fixed this issue, just in a bit. Please, I smudge it out. I forgot. I will say that I was doing this, like, this part for at least, like, a few hours at 2 a.m. Like, I know the exporting time started at 3 a.m., so it had to at least been, like, 2 a.m. when I started, doing this, and I was not doing good. I was so tired, but when autism drives you to do something, you just kind of do it. I don't mean to say that as if like I cannot control like what I do in my spare time with my special interests. Trust me, it is not like a healthy way to live. But One More Night has been my special interest for the past few days, and I've been cranking out these renders like crazy since a few days ago. I think the day before this, I finished the Wormcave render, and now I'm doing the dry render. I have attempted to record a few of my Blender renders, but I didn't feel confident in recording them because I still didn't know anything I was doing. I recorded me doing the post-processing of my first Blender GFX, but I figured that wasn't a great idea. So now we're actually getting into posing. I really like characters that have a prop, which is why I did Bad and ZGuesto first, because Bad has the sign and they were both leaning against the sign a little bit, which I thought was really cute. I really love characters that have props because it gives you way more variability than characters without props. There's only so many ways that you can render a static character. Sure, you can render them jumping, render them swimming, or render them doing an action. But when there's a tool and an object that they have that is so iconic to them, this being Dry's board, Mr. Math himself, you just kind of have to go with it. Also, you can see me messing with the rotation to just reset it. Then I realized that the rotation for W has to be set to 1 for it to work. So that was fun to know. So the idea was that I was gonna have him leaning against his board as if he was waiting for him to spawn in the office. Some of the threats in the game don't really have like a place where they idle. Like Jan and Kono are in like the is it the maintenance or the janitor? One of them. And you can see the old animatronics in the backstage, but you don't really see like Fran or Mango or Dry in the cameras, so I put him like if I were to imagine him chilling anywhere, it'd be here. First I tried to like make it so that he's kind of leaning up against it, like using it as a support, but I soon transferred that into him like resting his head on his hand, and then I just used the other hand to signal, like the other arm to signal that like he's going for support. I think eventually at some point I also add a camera to the scene, because I usually like to make sure that my poses work for all camera angles, so that like for the most part nothing's overlapping. Things look good from all angles. Sometimes you just have to kind of disfigure a character a little bit to make them look better. I fixed up his awkward leg issue later, but for now it kind of looks like this, and it doesn't even look that bad. So here's me adjusting his arm, even though you barely see it in the render, in the completed ender. I don't really know if there's much else I can say. I know I sped it up to 400%, but that's still like 36 minutes of footage, and I don't know if I can talk sufficiently to 36 minutes of footage. This is a horrible idea, but 500 times speed was a bit too fast. So there's gonna be a lot of tweaking with this. I wasn't really sure, for example, if this arm kind of looked right. I just kind of lived with it at some point that this arm was gonna look right. I also know that I edit the head and its like exact position on his body a few times. Also got to do the little leg curl. I really love a little nice leg curl. I think it just makes a character look more exaggerated. And I really like exaggerated poses. Like if you're gonna do a render and you're not going to exaggerate the pose a little bit, I think that is wrong in essence. So here's me setting the camera up a little bit. I realized this was a bit too low, so I had to redo the rotation and look up, and now we are good. Now I'm just gonna set up some stuff, the transparency of the background, which makes it so that when I render it, the background will be transparent, which is really good for rendering post processes and stuff. Setting the resolution to a square one, so it fits better in like a square, you know. I don't like doing renders in full like 10 like squares or something like that. So usually rectangles, they're called rectangles. Oh my god. Rectangles and stuff like that. So I just do squares. Now here's me adding light sources finally. Light sources are like the bane of my existence. Light sources is like half of the struggle when you're in Blender. The first part of Blender is posing and getting everything set up. The second part is lighting. I know that I still don't feel very confident about the way I do the lighting in this one. When I did the Wormcave render, it was primarily purple and blue. I used purple for the main colors and blue for the like the shadows, which made for a really good contrast. For this one, I used blue for the main, like a lighter blue, and then sort of a navy, not a navy blue. Navy blue is a bit too dark. You'll see what I mean. But I used like the cyan that's Dry's color in game. Like there's subtitles in the game, and whenever a character has to do with that subtitle, it'll show like their color alongside it. So renders is Dry's is cyan, and so I use cyan blue, a truer blue I suppose, and a purple for backlighting and stuff like that. I really like having backlighting. I think backlighting is really cool. I use backlighting in a lot of stuff. So yeah, here's me doing stuff. Actually, for a lot of the renders that I have done so far, red is like my most common backlight, because I did one for my own Roblox character, which is in my profile picture. That's like my first render. I didn't publish it because I didn't like it. Well, I didn't have like me doing it in Blender, but I had me doing post-process, and I'm like, if I'm just doing it in post-process, that's like a 10-minute video, even without speeding it up. I think I'm good. So usually half of the issue when I am rendering is that sometimes light sources just don't show up, and I don't really have the patience to deal with it. So you see me messing around with all sorts of light sources constantly and positioning them and finding new places where they can fit. I'm rather indecisive, as you can see, but I think indecisive, this is a good thing when it comes to this, because you get to see a lot of things, and you can decide like which was the better option. Maybe you were just tripping when you were being indecisive, you know? Here's me messing with this, like the light source, and the scene stuff. I decided that I should turn on the scene world again because it makes... I've been doing like all of my lighting with the scene world, and I think it looks fine. So here's me putting an underlight to the board and underneath Dry, which I think is my favorite like detail of the render. I think it looks neat. For people who have played One More Night, you might notice that the board is looking like Dry's board is looking a little bit too clean. Like there's like a metal texture, like the metal Roblox texture on it. I did add that later. As you can see from my thumbnail, I did add that. But I added it in post because trying to figure out how to do it in this was a bit challenging. I also don't remember where exactly this is in the recording, but in One More Night there are outlines for all of the threats, which includes Dry, and it's his cyan color. I tried to figure out how to do outlines in Blender, but I kind of gave up because I didn't know. I looked up a few tutorials during this process, but I figured that the way that I was doing it, or at least the way that Blender would automatically do it, is wrong. Also, I do remember I spent a lot of time on it, so it has to be a bit later in the process, but letting it be known now that I hated every second of it. Because it did the outline of every object, including like the front of his cap and his glasses, when I only wanted it to do like the outline of him. So, yeah. Now you're seeing me mess with a bunch of like light values to see how it works. The most frustrating part of this is always watching like it slowly render in the character and the lighting. Yeah, it's not fun, but I really like doing it. On average, I think I use at least like 5 light sources per render, and I really like having a lot of color and variability in this stuff, it kind of reminds me of the way that some people like render art. Sometimes you just have weird colors in there that you're not really sure how it fits, but it still makes the piece look nice. Whenever I see like those black and white like videos of people like going based off of only values to create art, and like when it goes into color it's really beautiful. That's kind of how I feel about rendering the light sources and stuff. I know that sounds kind of pretentious. I've been having a lot of issues with kind of feeling like an imposter. Like it's called imposter syndrome, because everyone else who does art in One More Night's Discord server does like really beautiful art pieces, but I'm just kind of sitting here with my render just like haha. And I know renders takes a lot of time, but it feels like when I am next to everyone else, my sort of art stands out in a way that is distracting, and that's not what I'm intending to be. And I know I am very grateful that I am part of the artist role in the server. It just feels weird whenever I post a render. Everyone's very nice to me when I have expressed this or whenever I've posted renders, so it's not that anyone's doing anything that makes me feel weird. It is purely just a me feeling. So here's me doing more render, like lighting work. The lighting work is honestly pretty boring. It's really grueling. I'm often listening to a video in the background when I'm doing these. I've been listening to a lot of like Reddit podcasts, like Two Hot Takes. The one that I was binging while doing all of my renders recently was what's it called? Comfort Level Podcast. And then of course I can't go without Smosh Reddit stories. I already do that every Saturday, and obviously I was doing this at 3 a.m. on Sunday, so I wasn't listening to that. I was also listening to the Bones 5 video on Hopeless Pursuit, which was really emotional. So yeah. There's not much else I can say about that. I think at some point, there are a few times in the process where I believe I'm finished rendering, so I go to like render it into an image, and then I just realize, hey, this thing looks kind of off, and so I have to go back and fix it. There are like multiple times that I do that. Again, not for rendering isn't for the faint of heart. No matter what medium you're doing it in, 2D art, 3D art, any sort of art really, rendering is like half of the pain, really. It is a lot of fun to see an art piece come together though. It is really interesting watching the mess with light sources and the power of them. Oh, and here comes my favorite, the purple backlighting. The purple backlighting is my favorite in hindsight, but I remember when I was doing it at 3 a.m. I was like, oh my god, this looks so bad. Because I feel like the colors weren't contrasting enough for me to be satisfied with it. I'm a really big fan of things that contrast heavily, but I wanted them to still be complementary, so I didn't want to go too crazy outside of the color wheel. You're gonna see me experiment with some fun, like, weird values for backlighting in this, like, in a few minutes maybe. But it was really, really hard to make something, to make it really good to my 3 a.m. eye. And usually my 3 a.m. eye is pretty harsh about stuff, but I think in hindsight, the lighting is fine. Maybe not the best lighting I've ever done, because this is only my 4th render, and technically my third render. I don't know if I went over this before, but it was my Roblox avatar first, then it was Bad and ZGuesto, then I did one for Jordi, and then Wormcave. I guess that's my 5th render, actually. So, I think here is where I start rendering it, but then I realize, hey, wait, something looks weird. So I go back to fix it, I think. I do this a couple of times where I'm like, haha, I'm rendering, and then I'm like, nope, I'm not rendering. When I actually start rendering, it is 3 AM. I don't know what time in the recording it actually is. I might go check really quickly on my, actually, I can't. I was gonna say, because I usually use QuickTime to, like MP4 files to record sometimes, especially for my Blender stuff, but then I realized, hey, I'm using OBS and I export in .mkv files, and so this is not gonna work. So I don't know what I'm doing here, genuinely. Oh, this is where I try to put the texture for the board, I think, because I thought, you know, but then I figured that I should just like do it in in post-processing when I go to Photopea. So I do that. And then I believe what happens, oh wait, this is the part where I try to put the outlining and it looks really bad, I think. Yeah, it looks so bad. Yeah, so I try to salvage this idea. I try to be like, I don't want to do this in post-processing, even though at some point I realized that doing it in post-processing is probably way better than doing it in Blender directly, because you can see all these outlines and I don't want to deal with it. I try to figure out if I could delete or erase some of the vertices or edit them in edit mode, but I cannot figure out how to do it, and I really don't want to know how to do it because I'm never gonna try this ever again. So I eventually just get rid of it and do the rendering thing. Oh, so please let it be known that if you hear, I feel like it's a little bit late to say this so far into the video, but if you hear static or fans in the background, I don't want to hear about it. It is hot as hell. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to like go like 30 plus minutes in this sweltering heat just for good audio quality. I have way more dignity than that. I'm not sure what okay, I think this is the part where I'm finally, no, am I finally done? No. What am I doing? Are we done? I clearly did not like review this footage. I guess I'm now fixing some of the coloring. I do remember that I was thinking that the white color was making it look washed out. Maybe some of the sun or like the spotlight. So I was trying to fix what I thought was dry looking very strange. I eventually just decide to leave it alone and export it. I'm making sure like one last time that I made the camera transparent, and I did. Then I'm going back to fixing my colors, I think. My lighting. And then I think after this I'm done. I think it's hard to tell. Because I'm looking at the timeline and it's zoomed out. I can't tell. I could just zoom into the timeline. I don't really want to. I'm very comfy where I am. Here's me experimenting with colors and then experimenting with the backlight a little bit. And then I export, render rather. Am I good? Are we good? Oh, I'm fixing, yeah, so here's what I was talking, like foreshadowing when I said I would fix like the pose. I fixed it so late into the process. And then I fixed the other leg a little bit. Cause I realized there was like a gap between the legs and the body, so it showed the board behind it, and I kind of didn't really like it. Yeah, that's sort of just it. I fix it, and then I think I export it for real. After I fix this leg too. I do, please. Can we do Please? Please? I think... Render. There we go. And now, while I'm rendering, I am playing Hello Kitty Cafe, whatever. I was also recording the Hello Kitty part of this, so it was really slow. So the render started exactly at 3 AM. And now I'm gonna chop up this footage and just meet you at the end of when I start rendering it in post-process. Okay, brave souls, welcome to the post-processing part of the video. Now, in truth, the post-processing for my One More Night renders has always been a little bit plain. For Bad and ZGuesto, I just kind of put like the static because I imagined it to be after they killed you. For Wormcaves, I put like an image from the wiki of one of Wormcaves' wormholes. And for this one, I just decided to do another death one, even if the original concept was him chilling out, waiting to spawn. Here's me putting in the board in. I was struggling a lot with the perspective settings. I decided that I didn't want to use perspective warp, but then I realized that I was going to use perspective warp, so I'm using perspective warp now. And I had to do this a few times to make sure that it looked fine when I put the opacity low, and then I realized that there's a few problems with it. So I redid it because I wanted it to look nice and presentable. There really isn't much to say. Whenever I do post-processing, I feel like anyone who's seen at least one of my videos knows what the post-processing looks like, but I still wanted to make it for, like, show it off for me doing a new render, or at least a new render style, because I haven't done it with Blender. Due to most of the lighting already being done in this, there wasn't much that I wanted to do. Here's me actually doing the cyan outline. The entire time I had Dry's wiki page open just so I can do the outline, like get the colors. Like one of his backlighting and the color on his cyan board is the cyan that his color is, so I already had that for a while. You can see that I already had the Roblox texture for the metal already up there, which I had up for a while, even when I was doing the rendering, hence why I was trying to put it into Blender initially, stuff like that. Sometimes you can see me like mess up erasing or adding stuff, and it's just like par for the course. Here's me exporting, at least saving stuff. I usually like to save the .psd file after I'm done with it, because you never know when I want to look back at it or edit something. I've especially been doing it for this because I offered to give like the original people their avatar renders like watermarkless, because no one's asked yet. But the offer is on the table for anyone who's gotten a render from me. Here's me trying to search up a black border image just to use so I can put like a blurry outline, or like I guess a blurry frame on the borders. It was kind of a struggle. I tried to do this for my Wormcave render, and I essentially decided on the thing that I do now, which is put squares on the edges of the thing and just make it blurry by using like outer glow. Here's me putting in a quote. I usually put quotes in, or like sometimes death quotes, sometimes tips. I use tips for Bad and ZGuesto's render, and then the death quote for Wormcave's render. For this one, I just wanted to just put his name in the background. I debated on whether I should put his username or his name, but I just decided I would just put his name. It's kind of in the style of my old renders where I'd have the character in like full focus, but their username is in the background. For this one, it's just his name. And here's me doing the whole shape thing so I can make a, you know, make a faded border. I still don't know how to do like half things in Photopea, but I know how to do things that I need to know how to do. So it doesn't really matter to me. So I fixed that, and then I clip, no, I merge down, and then I make an outer glow so that it like fades into, I don't know why it's default pink. I know I used that pink for like a specific older render. I don't know why it stayed pink. So here's me trying to figure out how to make it fade. There isn't really much to say at this point. Go play One More Night. It's a really good game. I have so much fun playing it. I have to play it at least twice per day, or I go a little bit insane. Like, that's the level the special interest is at. Thank you, Dab, for making this game. It's really fun. And thank you for everyone who has, in some ways, helped with or contributed to the game, including the testers and the awesome people who like moderate in the server or in the game. You guys are awesome. There isn't much to say here other than normal rendering stuff, so I think I'm just going to leave my voiceover there. Thank you for watching this video. I imagine hearing my voice is a little shocking to people who are used to the time lapses without my voice. I'm going to start doing videos where I do have my voice in them, and hopefully I actually start making some gameplay videos. I actually do have a One More Night gameplay video coming up. They don't have my voice in them, but I will make videos with my voice in them. So hopefully you guys like this. Thank you. Bye.